Perhaps the most fascinating sight in all of Turkey is this region known as Cappadocia. Thousands of years ago, lava pouring out of an eruptive volcano covered the area. Later, wind and rain eroded the soft lava, leaving these strange shapes we see today. This formation resembles a camel. As long ago as 2000 BC, communities were chiseled out of the soft rock. Many people still live in these carved-out homes today. The little slots you see on this home are pigeon houses. This is probably where the term pigeonholes originated. During the 2nd century AD, recent converts to Christianity were harassed in Jerusalem, so they fled to this area, where they carved churches out of the soft volcanic rock. This area was one of the largest centers of Christianity from the 4th to the 9th centuries. Between 700 and 800 AD, artists were forbidden to draw human faces in the church. For that reason, symbolic primitive forms and geometric figures that you see here were drawn. After 800 AD, human images in the church were allowed. In this fresco, St. George and St. Theo are shown slaying the dragon. If you look closely, you will see niches in the rock that served as steps leading up to the entrance of the dwelling. The formations with caps on the top are known as complete fairy chimneys. Those without caps are called incomplete fairy chimneys. Underground communities have also been found that were chiseled deep into the soft volcanic rock. Large stone discs which could only be opened from the inside kept out intruders. Some of the communities went down 7 or 8 floors into the rock. The kitchens were communal, since they generated smoke and had to be vented to the surface. There were workshops as well as wine fermentation rooms in the caves, and the temperature remained near 50 degrees Fahrenheit throughout the year. This ancient Roman bridge on the road to Mount Nemrut was built around 200 AD. Twin temples atop the 6,500-foot Nemrut Dai were built in the 1st century BC for an egotistical ruler named Antiochus. One of the temples is on the east side of the mountain, to face the sunrise and the other on the west to face the sunset. There is a 150-foot mound of crushed rock between the two temples. Earthquakes have left their mark by toppling many of the heads of the statues to the ground. Some historians believe that Antiochus is buried beneath the crushed rock. After leaving Nemrut Dayi, the highway suddenly disappeared into a body of water. Apparently the Ministry of Irrigation had failed to notify the map makers that the Euphrates River had been dammed, creating a lake where the road had been. We had the perilous adventure of crossing the lake in the decrepit ferry and driving the Turkish highway after dark. We finally arrived in the Kurdish town of Urfa after the treacherous night drive and explored this large mosque the next morning. Hot tea vendors are common on the streets throughout Turkey. The bakers are making delicious Kurdish flat bread. The Urfa-covered bazaar is quite different from the bazaar in Istanbul. The items for sale are aimed toward the locals rather than the tourist. There are knife makers, tailors, tinsmiths, used apparel shops, and many household items for sale. Haran, a village near the Syrian border, is an interesting place because of its antiquity and its unusual beehive-shaped houses in which people still live today. Haran's old castle has suffered much damage from earthquakes. Notice the stone in the ceiling that looks as though it's ready to fall. Our guide said that it had been like that for many years. The remains of the old university also indicate much earthquake damage. The tall structure was the astronomical observation tower. These cakes of manure are used as fuel for cooking and heating, since no other fuel is available. All of the homes are made of brick. Trees do not grow in this area. The hole in the ceiling provides ventilation and allows smoke to escape. Lake Van covers much of the southeastern corner of Turkey, and like the Dead Sea is highly alkaline. The soapy feeling water does a good job on the laundry. These women are washing their rugs in the river and allowing them to dry on the rocks beneath the bridge at Agre. According to the Bible, Mount Ararat near the Iranian border is the resting place of Noah's Ark. Ishak Pasha Palace was built in this very isolated location in 1784 and is said to have contained 366 rooms. This is the entrance to the palace compound. The mosque is the best preserved part of the palace. This is the interior of the men's quarters of the palace. The women's quarters were on the other side of the mosque. We saw many interesting sights during the drive to the Black Sea. The Black Sea region is famous for its tea. You can see some of the plants here. Corn is drying on the balcony. Subalia Monastery is an abandoned Greek Orthodox monastery clinging to the hillside near the city of Trabzon. Begun in the 9th century and completed in the 19th century, it now lies in ruins. These monk sails, having a magnificent view of the valley below, have been deserted since the founding of the Turkish Republic in 1923. The frescoes dating back to the 9th century have been damaged over the years, but are now protected by the Turkish government. Ataturk's villa, located on the outskirts of Trabzon, was given to the founder of modern Turkey as a vacation getaway, but it was rarely used. George was some of his Turkish friends in Trabzon. The last place we visited in this Muslim country was St. Sophia in Trabzon, which was originally a 13th century Byzantine Christian church. In the 15th century it became a mosque, and now it is a museum. Many changes will occur in Turkey in the coming years, but in our minds it will remain the same.